Hello, hi, Mr. Lampard.
Hi, Dr. Panos, how are you?
How is everything? I'm all good. It's an honor and a pleasure to
It's
talk to you
my,
and meet you.
no, it's my honor, my pleasure. I like the top you're wearing. Perfect.
Thank you, represent. Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
it a lot. Are you well?
All good, yeah, enjoying a day off.
Good, good. I'm sure it's well deserved.
It's a bit busy and hectic, but what can we do?
I can imagine. I mean, listen, we can talk obviously a bit of Chelsea a bit later, but just to
Mhm.
start with you, because I know some details and obviously I know how busy you are at the minute, personally and everybody working. Can you give me some talk about what you're doing at the minute and how it's going for you?
Yeah, so I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon and I work in
Mhm.
Hammersmith Hospital. So basically, as you know, from due to the COVID pandemic, some hospitals are operating and doing cases, some of the hospitals are not. So currently, we are a COVID hospital, meaning that all of our intensive care units are occupied by COVID positive patients. So we are not operating at this time. And what we're doing is we're all deployed and helping out in intensive care units, and everyone. It's a collective effort. Everyone is helping out, from doctors, nurses, until everyone, the whole team, porters, everything.
I'm guessing your hours are many hours in the day. I know you're enjoying your day off today, but
Yeah,
what does your average day look like at the moment?
the hours are the different types of shifts. So you either have, well, it's our bleep or pager that we are on call for the cardiothoracic side, which is a 24-hour shift. And then we have the intensive care unit shifts, which are 12 hours. It's either in the day, 8 in the morning until 8 in the afternoon, and then or night, 8 p.m. until 8 a.m.
Sitting here at home, obviously, we're watching all the great work that's being done. And what's really struck me is we don't always get to see the work that you're doing every time, but the sort of togetherness and the videos of everyone, the group mentality, and all that sort of stuff seems pretty special from the outside.
That's the incredible thing. That's what I'm going to take from this whole experience is this whole collective effort, and everyone is giving everything they can according to their expertise and speciality. Everyone is helping out. Even the public are helping out a lot.
Mm.
Charity organizations are making visors, which are the protective gear that we are using. There's restaurants sending food and people cooking for us, sending cookies and things like that, coffee.
Mm.
So even the public, everyone is helping. It's not only the clapping, which is it's very emotional as well, but it's everyone is giving an effort.
Mm. In terrible times like this, it's hard to take too many positives, but I think if there are positives, it's the recognition I think that you're all getting and the work that you do. And I know you've slightly changing your. I mean, I live near the Chelsea Westminster Hospital here, and we've always, as a club, actually had a really good relationship and gone there at Christmas and seen. And the work that gets done there behind the scenes is incredible. And I think if this is something that's happened that you've seen the togetherness of the public and how thankful everybody is with the clap and how genuine that feeling is. I think really genuine that people are seeing you for what you are.
It's an amazing thing. I have to say, I cycle to work. So when I have my night shift, it always starts at 8, and always the clap is at 8, and it is a very emotional time. I mean, it's incredible what everyone is doing, and
Yeah.
but they're helping more than that, and that's the important thing.
Well,
Yeah.
it's very, very deserved and very genuine. Everyone feels that way. And another thing, as I say, I know your story a little bit, and one of the really interesting things is that your girlfriend Natalia works as well. She's also working in the hospital, right?
Yeah, she can go. She can go home, and the hotel that they've given them is close to the hospital. So you can imagine there's so much staff, including her as well, that they moved there. They're living there, away from home, away from friends and family, and working tirelessly. The nursing staff is doing an incredible job.
You almost see you like machines. You know, you're going and you're doing your work. And then when I read that your girlfriend's staying in a hotel, isolating herself, working, you're working and isolating yourself, like the emotional side outside of what you're actually doing as your job, where you're putting yourself at risk to save lives,
Yeah.
it's really special. I know it must be really tough for you at the moment, but well, when this hopefully is over and we don't know when or whatever, then well, you certainly need, I know, whatever, pat on the back, time together. You really, really are absolutely putting up, all of you, and it's incredible. And that, again, something you should be really proud of.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, going in, we try not to think about it, because you're just going into work, you try to be focused, try to push everything away, from the outside world, and it kind of helps like that, keeping that balance. But when you come home to sleep, although most of the times we're so tired,
Mm.
that you will just fall asleep right away. But it does hit you a bit, you know, the kind of, you know, only isolated away from family and everything.
Obviously, I grew up in a footballing family where my dad was a footballer, my cousin a footballer, and reading your story, your girlfriend works, as you've just been speaking about, your brother's working in Greece, right? Your father was a heart surgeon.
Mother pharmacist, my sister starting to be a pharmacist.
Wow.
We're all involved in that world, yeah.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, again, huge credit to all of you, and even like the story of your father being a heart surgeon, and obviously the lives that he would have saved, and actually the pressure. Now you're working under intense pressure for hours, but I'm guessing your day job is intense pressure all the time.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's the pressure is just different. Now the pressure is different than what is usually. You know, it's still a life and death situation. But it's a completely different process, a completely different situation.
And tell me this, how do you manage to keep your biceps looking so strong? You must be doing some press-ups just before you go to bed or when you wake up.
Yeah,
I'm going to put my arms down. I feel a bit embarrassed.
A lot of press-ups, a lot of elastic bands. We're trying to do what we can.
Right.
That's another one because, you know, gym was a good balance for me in my life, you know.
Right. So I'm sure you miss being able to do that as much as you could.
Meditation time, but now that's out of the picture. So we're trying to a lot of running in the park, which I never did before, which is good. Right. And that's what I was wondering how all the players are doing now with keeping fit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, this obviously it caught us all by surprise. You know, like we were training one day, and whether we were naive looking back, everybody, I don't think anybody expected this. And then one day we got sent back home, and then obviously we actually self-isolated for probably about around 2 weeks before lockdown. It was really important, firstly, to kind of, for me and for the staff, to kind of make sure that everybody was kind of mentally okay. You know, this big change, and all of a sudden you're sitting and you can't leave the house, and you're on your own, or some of the lads in apartments, and all the different situations, basically. Once we kind of got our head around that, we try and keep in contact with the players all the time. I mean, I'm so bad with technology, and this is one thing that's come out of this for me, is I can now be on Zoom and work all these things. It's so important to see people's faces. You know, you miss the interaction, clearly. But we've given them daily plans, so they train. And when we had the hour you can work in lockdown and you can be outside, we give them running plans. So they go and run, and we change the plans every week. We don't make them run every day. Some days we come off it slightly to have some strength work that they can do at home. The hardest thing for us was trying to find, when you don't know the return, you don't know when we're so used to building up for a game next week or pre-season. So it's hard. So we're like, how many runs can you give them? So we change it up. We've had a couple of weeks where we've rested them a bit, and then we keep working and staying in contact. More than anything for me has been making sure. And again, it's that togetherness thing. Even when you're apart, we've tried to make sure that everyone's there and that they have WhatsApp groups, and we keep it in touch.
It must be very difficult, and it can get old fast. You know, as you said, how many times can you run the park? How many drills can you do?
Yeah.
It's very interesting to see. I mean, you'll be the first ones to see if they bring it back. They were mentioning something about end of May or beginning of June, how the training process will be and how everyone, because even during the summer, there's never such a long break.
Yeah, it's true, and we have to take that into account, because not only is it a long break, but for big parts of that break, they have been sitting down or on the sofa. You know, they haven't been getting as active as they probably normally would be. So we'll have to play that one by ear slightly and see how it is. We need to see what period of time we get whenever we do go back. If we're talking that we're going to go back in smaller groups, which is probably how it will start whenever it does start, that will be more maintaining fitness and probably stepping it up level one. But what we do need is some form of a pre-season, which will be proper training for 3 or 4 weeks. Because the players, you know, they're very highly strung. And when this came in mid-season, they were very fit. And when you do come out of it for 6 weeks, it's that unfortunate thing that I'm sure you'll know. When you come off it, it takes you like 2 months to build up fitness, but you take 1 week off it and it drops straight back down. So
it's very tough. Very tough. And it's also going to be tough if it's behind closed doors. These games must be very awkward or very, strange.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been. Never played.
Yeah, no, it is. It's completely different. We're having a lot of conversations about this, because the beauty, the reason the Premier League is the best in the world is because of the atmosphere. For me, we obviously have great players and stuff, but it's because of the tribal and the atmosphere and the crowds and all that stuff. So when you take that away, I mean, we have training games a lot, and however much you try and drive them as a coach, it's really, really tough to get. It's really tough to get that. So I suppose. Yeah, it's the quiet, and I suppose every team's in the same boat. In effect, everybody's the other side are also playing in closed doors. So it's probably how you overcome the different challenges that it brings. One of the reasons I love coaching is because it's great being on the grass. It's great doing all the technical training and all that. But sometimes it's also about relationships and how you get on with the players and things like that. Those kind of little challenges of playing in front of an empty stadium, all those things. It's kind of like, I think, trying to motivate the players, and that comes from one-on-one relationships as much as it does, what you actually do on the training ground. I think sometimes now in the modern day, and maybe forever in football management, it's like, I don't know, 50-60% is your coaching and the technical and all that tactical work, and the other 40-50-60%, whatever that split is your relationship, with the players. So we'll try and that's why we try and stay in contact with them and make them feel like I'm there for them.
And to the fans, it's when we watch it, and then after the game is over, you watch when everyone's walking away and things like that. It's obvious if the relationship is good with the manager or not. You can see this, the love and the respect. You can see it, definitely. And if there's probably no, it's kind of sense it.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, Panos. I mean, I always felt because I played with so many managers at Chelsea and in my career that. When I look back at the ones that I had those personal relationships with were the ones that got the best out of me. Do you know what I mean? So I always think of, and we've got 25 plus players in our first team squad. And it's difficult. It's not easy to be all of their best friends or all of their critics or their helpers or all these things that you kind of have to be at different times. But you try. And I think because I'm quite, it doesn't feel that long ago since I was playing. So I feel like I still try and fill that what I would want as a player, and try and be that as a manager. And I do feel the club because it's my club, because I played here so long. And, I'm not just saying that, but it obviously helps with my link. I so want to do well in this job. And I know that to do that, I have to have a link with all the players and get the best out of them. And also a link with the fans, because I do know what Chelsea fans want. And they want to win leagues, who doesn't, and cups, but they also want to see a team that has a passion and goes out with energy and that when I look on the pitch as a Chelsea fan, I want to see someone that's giving everything for Chelsea.
Most of the fans, or all the fans I know, we wanted to see the youth coming out, and you've done an amazing job bringing this youth out, and we're able to see them and enjoy them, because we'd be following the youth teams and things like that, like how we were winning everything. So you're thinking, when are we going to see these kids? When are we going to see these players come out? And that's the amazing part of this season, at least. I mean, I know the results are a bit up and down, but that's absolutely expected when you have the young players coming in. So I think the overall, from what I discuss and what I see, everyone is happy at this current situation we're in. I mean, you're doing an amazing job, and I mean, you're the best manager we could think of coming in. So that's amazing.
Listen, I really appreciate it. I mean, that's down to the players. The young players are good. They're good lads. I mean, I and me and the staff with Jody and Joe Edwards and Chris Jones, my close staff, we trust in them, and we know them really well. And at the start of the season, I knew that they would have to have much more minutes because of the ban, but I also knew that there would be competition around them. So it wasn't just a case of, Mason, you're going to play 40 games this season. Tammy, you also, because like with Tammy, you go, okay, you're going to go up against Giroud and Batshuayi. And Mason, you're going to go up against Ross Barkley and Kovacic and Kanté in midfield. So there was never a, here you go, lads, here's a pass into the first team because I'm manager now. So I think it's a real kind of, I show trust in them, but they've absolutely delivered. And I agree, like the slight up and down nature of it. And that was something that we were all aware of. The great thing, like you say there, and it's kind of what I felt, and it's hard after a defeat, 4-0 Manchester United the first game of the season, or 1-0 against Bournemouth in December at home, and we control loads of the game and we can't score and we lose. Like, it's really hard because I feel it like every fan does, and I'm the worst critic. I go into my office after and I'm like thinking of everything, but then when I go out into the street in the week after, so many fans have come up to me, like you said there, listen, we get it. We wanted to see the young players through. We get it, and we're with you on it. And I think as we build now, because every game, every year, they're going to get more experience, and if we can build around that, then I want to bridge the gap back to the top. I'm not here to hang around. I know that's what Chelsea's all about in recent years, and I want to bridge that. So it's the balance now of those young players. We don't want to be just a team that brings the young players through. I think we've shown that. Now we want to be also going forward. I want us to be bridging that gap to Liverpool and City, but there's a long way to go on that one, I suppose.
It's a long way, but I don't think it's that. We think it's longer than it actually is. I think we're closer. But it's just finding this consistency, really. And this comes with experience. And I think the boys had a lot of experience with the Champions League this year, which is, I think, a big school for a player. I think the Champions League.
Yeah, definitely. And we had, I mean, Bayern Munich actually was probably, I'd like to think that Bayern Munich will look back on in a year or 2 years' time, and it will be a defining moment for this group, because it was a game that kind of put us in our place. You know, it was like, wow, this is a real strong Champions League team. Yeah, and it was, you know, and I actually didn't feel that bad after. I was disappointed, of course, you know, because you go, oh, well, 3-0 and the game's probably gone, even with the away leg. But it was like, yeah, you know what, that's a level for the young boys, and a few of them were playing that night, and us as a team of level of quality of player and in team that are clinical with Lewandowski and all that. Then we need to know that, and I think that they played some really good games. Ajax in the rounds before that, going away to Lille, really good performances under pressure. And you know what? When you look back at the season, our performances against like City, when we went there and lost 2-1, we played really well for big parts of the game. Liverpool, every game we've played against them, we've competed with them, and they're clearly the best team.
I'm personally happy because even when we lose or we don't get results or a draw, I always see that the performance is good. The will is there. They keep running. They keep going at it. And it's not like you don't see any laziness. At least I haven't seen it. So even if you don't get the point or the result you need, at least you see that the things are progressing. And that's a cool message, I think.
No, thanks. And sometimes you don't get that from the outside. That's why I think Chelsea fans have been like that this year, because sometimes this is a lot in the media. The result completely defines what the fallout is. So if you lose 1-0 at home, everyone will lose the fact that you had 25 shots and this and that, you know, and didn't stop running in a certain game. Like you say, my whole mantra with the players, and I try to be like this as a player myself, is if you have to work as you want to play on a weekend. It sounds really simple. Everyone obviously kind of feels the same, but in practice, that has to be the case. And I guess it's like your job, unless you prepare, unless you're doing it right, unless everything is, then you can't, you know, and your job is so critical that you can't afford to not do that. Now, as players, we have to make sure that we train at that level every day. That has to be the culture of it. And then hopefully then you see the uplift, because these teams now, City and Liverpool, there's no surprise. They run further than everybody else. They run at more high intensity than everybody else.
They're a well-oiled machine at this stage. They've been playing, it's kind of the same group playing for years now. So yeah, they're the best they could be, I think, and they're playing really well.
And when we're talking a little about the fitness stuff there, like that's for me what is the difference now, is that every small detail is so important, whether it's fitness preparation, strength and conditioning, the tactical work, repeating on the training ground. Sometimes you have to repeat. Again, I don't know if it overlaps into your work, but you only become a master of it if you repeat the amount of time you do it. Do you know what I mean? So,
I mean, surgery is a craft. In the end of the day, you're doing it with your hands. It's not like you learn it once. It has to be a constant, everyday thing, and focus. It's the same thing. It's a craft. So, you know, there has to be practice on a daily basis, like playing an instrument as well. Like
you I read that.
Yeah, like you play once and you've learned, and then you can pick it up 10 years later and play again. You need a constant exposure to it. Same thing. So
you play the piano. You're a surgeon.
Yeah.
You've got biceps 3 times the size of mine. You're busy man, aren't you?
Busy. I'm trying to get myself busy as much as possible. Right. Full rounded.
Yeah. No, good for you. And so, I mean, just to finish up, and I know you're hearing this all the time, and I want to say it on a personal level, and I want to say it from Chelsea as a Chelsea fan and the Chelsea family. But more than that, you know, the whole public. A huge thank you for everything you're doing, the hours you're doing, separation from your girlfriend, you know, your brother's doing it, the whole team there. And I know from Chelsea Westminster, it's not just its doctors, it's nurses, it's porters, it's people, caterers. It's just amazing.
Our pleasure and our honor. It's our pleasure to do that. And
yeah. No, but you've been proven to be absolute heroes, to be on the front line and work what you're doing. And people talk about footballers as heroes sometimes, and to be fair, footballers don't proclaim themselves as the heroes, but you know, we know it's our national sport, and we love it. But I think even the footballing world, and not just Chelsea, you know, I speak to other managers and other players, and we're always talking that there's absolute thanks and admiration for everything you're doing, and that can't go away after this as well. I have to say that. And when this does calm down, you and your brother, if he comes over, whatever, or yourself, you're coming to Chelsea, you're going to be my guest. Come to Stamford
Very much.
Bridge. Come to the training ground, whatever you want, meet all the lads and everything, and you can absolutely be my guest, Panos, whenever this is all calmed down.
I'm honored. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So, are you back to work tomorrow and
back to work again? Tomorrow? Yeah. So intensive care unit shifts until Sunday.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, again, much appreciated. Make sure you keep in touch. I'll make sure from my end that when it comes down, when the games are back on, you come to watch and you come and sit in my office with us and have a beer afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you. It was
no problem.
A lifelong dream.
Panos, thank you. Stay well. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.